This is the Marathon Handbook Podcast. My name is Michael Doyle, and I am joined, as always, by Katelyn Tocci and Alex Cyr. And today we are going to talk about the silver bullet, guys. You know how like the old truism is like, there's no such thing as like one thing that fixes all of your problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So apparently there is. There is a new study out that identifies one single strength exercise that resolves the vast majority of running-related repetitive stress injuries, and we will get into that.
Wait. You said it was going to fix all my problems.
All of your life's problems,
yes,
financial problems, relationship problems, the whole thing.
Okay,
wait, this is just the running problems?
Forget it.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Wouldn't it be amazing if there was an exercise that could fix your interpersonal marriage problems?
Well, have you ever tried that one exercise that we're going to talk about to see if it would fix other things? Because I haven't tried it.
I'm just the visual. I feel bad for our listeners and our viewers already because they don't even know what we're talking about. We will get to it. This is the ultimate tease, but the visual on what you just said is appalling. It's giving us a hard R right now.
Yeah. You're like in the middle of an argument and then you just throw yourself to the ground and
And do this exercise.
Do the thing. And then she's like, oh no, you're not trying the you know what's again. I told you the you know what's don't work. I'm like, just wait 30 seconds and it's going to work.
Oh God. Yeah. Wow. Okay. What I don't even know how to segue in or out of that, but actually, you know what? The perfect starting point here is a little check-in, a check-in with the team, where we're all at right now. At what level of like training crazy you're at right now? And also how are the bodies feeling? Are we having any niggles, any threatening aches and pains? Let's start with you, Katelyn, because you're doing the real mileage here.
Okay.
So what's a week in the life of someone training for a 100-miler right now?
Okay, I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm in my peak week. So 3 weeks out from the race. Oh, yeah. I'm in the peak week, 3 weeks out from the race. It is some serious mileage for me. Not probably so much for you, Michael. But, doing the doubles, doing a 16K easy run in the morning, doing, 6 or 7K at night, the speed workouts, the strength training, and my peak long run this weekend. And we do the back-to-back long runs. And so what my coach has puts in for us sometimes is he sometimes splits it up and wants a specific long run. So one day, this many hours, the next day, this weekend, I have to accumulate 10 hours. And so...
Oh my goodness.
In 2 days.
This weekend, I have to run for 10 hours.
Oh.
Just 10 hours.
Okay.
I would actually like to do it on the side of trying to get most of the hours out of the way the first day and then just kind of go, I know this sounds ridiculous to most people, but like a 2-hour recovery jog the next day. So I'm planning on doing a 60K trail run this Friday, which has about 3,000 meters of gain. So I'm thinking that's going to probably take me up to about 8 hours or 9 hours, depending on the rest of the situation that day, the weather, the terrain, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've got a big weekend planned with lots of trail running.
Could you do like 1 hour, wait 3 hours, do another hour, wait 3 hours, do like one before going to sleep? Or does it have to be in 2 bouts?
Yeah, it should be in 2 bouts.
And you're choosing for those 2 bouts to be 9 hours and then 1 hour?
Well, I was at first thinking 6 and 4. 6 and 4 is what I was kind of suggested to do. But I was like, I'm going to be out there for 6 hours. I'm going to go to this super cool place in Cerro de la Muerte here. That means, have we ever talked about what that means? It means like Death's Peak. So anyway, I'm going... go out to this area. It's not
Oh, man.
dangerous. It just sounds dangerous because it's like very big peaks. So I'm going out to this area, and I really want to take advantage of how beautiful it is. And there are some really long routes that I can do. And so I thought, well, I'll just put together a long route and see how long it takes. Obviously, not go too overboard, but it'll be probably somewhere between that 7 to 8 hour range on Friday, and then I'll just whatever I didn't get to do, I'll do that on Saturday. I know it's crazy. But 100 miles is a long way.
Death's Peak. Just run a Death's Peak this weekend for 10 hours. No big deal.
No big
I feel
deal.
like that's what my family was hearing when I was telling them about my training while on family vacation with them. And now I kind of understand what it's like to be on the other side. But it's like, wow.
Why?
Oh.
Well, most people just say why, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But you guys are runners, so you
But
understand.
you're now deep into it. So like, don't question it. You just go and do it.
I
Nice.
just have to go do it. So that'll be good. And as for niggles, just today, I started randomly feeling very sore feet. I don't know why. Why would I? So I'm going to, it's so shocking. So I've got a sports massage in the books for 2 p.m. So very looking forward to that. Usually once I get those muscles worked out, the foot pain subsides.
So Mr. Cyr was, Katelyn, he came over to my house briefly yesterday to collect some shoes for review purposes.
Oh,
There we
those
go.
are pretty.
For
Pink and
those
purple.
watching us on YouTube or Spotify, Alex just dangled the A6
Mega
Mega
Blast.
Mega Blast. I was going to call them Mega Speed. I was
Oh.
getting my ASICs confused. Okay. And he said to me, I'm in a big hurry. I got to go. I've got to go to my physiotherapist. And you seemed like you were in need of a physiotherapist.
What happened, Alex?
No, guys, I'm good. I'm okay. Everything is fine.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I have a little, I don't have it currently. I had a little inflammation in like the medial side or on the medial side of my left knee. I'm not sure what it is. If it's the first pain I've had in weeks and weeks and weeks, which is really good. And I'm chalking it up to living like a total degenerate for the last 3 or 4 days. And I'm saying that it's not my fault. We were in Vienna, family vacation, and we were trying to fly back to Toronto. And in Canada, our main airline, Air Canada, went on strike. And so our flight got canceled. So we spent a couple days in transit limbo, flying to a different part of Canada, Halifax, which is pretty much... Michael, were you born... You must have been born in Halifax.
I was born in the Grace Maternity Hospital in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
There you go.
That's
There
right.
you go. And so you would know better than anyone that Halifax is really hilly. So
Yeah.
I got 2 of my runs done while sleep deprived, while jet lagged, up and down hills that I'm not used to running. And I think that this was the pain was just the result of doing a bunch of things that I'm not used to and adding a bunch of stimulus, and also just being halfway through the training build. And so my fear, I don't think, was due to the intensity of the pain. It wasn't that intense, but it was more so due to wanting to protect something that's starting to feel like something. I feel like
Ooh.
I've come a certain way inside of this build. I've passed the point of it feeling novel and like I have nothing to lose. I now feel like I have something to lose, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
I'm starting to
Yeah.
feel quite fit. I actually think I can run something really good in the next few weeks.
Well,
And so now I'm a little bit more tentative.
I am not yet at the I feel like I've got something to lose phase of things, but
Michael, you
But
have
that's the-
yet to really tell us about your training so far.
I have yet to really figure out what my training is so far. I'm like I'm exploring the space right now, guys. I'm contemplating things. I'm trying to figure it out. I know the window is now closing for training for a fall marathon for me, and I need to decide whether I'm going to get on the train or I'm going to stay at the station and watch it go off into the distance. So TBD on that. I will report back perhaps next week as to how the training. I did like the I don't know if I'm winning Parent of the Year doing this or not, but I feel like I'm creating a good like role model situation. My wife was at a strength class after work the other night, and I did take my kid out to try to like shoehorn in a run after work because I hadn't run yet with my child. He's 7. He's great on the bike, and he loves doing this. We go out on a trail, very safe, no cars, and he paces me through a run.
That's awesome.
Should be an easy run. And he loves it. And he's like, let's do 16K, Dad, 10 miles. And I'm like, I was thinking more like 10 or 12K.
Like a 10K.
And he's like, no. At the very end of this trail is a little spot where he goes to an outdoor school one day a week, and he wanted to go there and see it because he hasn't been there. It's summertime. But I knew that was at the 8K turnaround. I was just like, oh God, okay, fine. And of course, in the process of doing this run with him as my pacer on the bike in front of me, he sees runners up ahead and he's like, let's chase down that runner, Dad. And then he starts biking faster. And I'm like looking down at my watch, running 3-something minute kilometers. I'm like, this is not an easy run. So my pacer, he put me through a fartlek run, but it was fun. So went okay. I was actually wearing the Asics Mega Blast and they felt fantastic.
A little snug.
They fit nicely, actually. They fit good. They were not.
I'm teasing because you're swapping with Alex's shoes.
Alex and I are one size different, so I have to sometimes like hammer my size 12 foot into a size 11 shoe to try a new shoe on. But in this case, I did have a pair of size 12, so I got to wear true to size. They felt great. I'm looking forward to hearing your review on those, Alex, as a tease for a future video that's coming out on that shoe. All that to say, training, it's a question mark. It's I'm in uncertain territory right now. I've got to, get on the train or get off, so to speak. Okay. So perfect segue. We're sort of all in. Katelyn, you're right in the eye of the storm right now.
Yep.
You're staving off those last little niggles by getting a paid professional to hammer away at your feet. Mr. Cyr, your legs are slowly collapsing underneath you as you're running faster than you ever have before. And I am like just falling apart because I have not done any strength training at all in several months, and I'm trying to run 15K off of nothing. So I did 25K on Sunday too. It didn't feel badly though.
Nice.
Let's talk about that one exercise. But before we get into it, let's take a quick break. Then we'll be right back. Talk about the one magic exercise that we have teased for the last 13 minutes and how to do it, what this research says, because there's a really fascinating paper that discovered this one exercise that could keep you injury-free through your marathon training. We will be right back. All right, and we're back. Do you guys ever imagine the theme music playing when we come back in? Because we don't listen to the theme music when we're recording the podcast. Just getting a little meta here for a second.
That's funny. I don't.
No. Yeah. I always wonder, do podcasters listen to their own podcast?
It's hard to do.
To listen to yourself talking.
Yeah, because then you catch
absolutely.
the mistakes.
I feel
can
embarrassed
see
sometimes. Yeah, because you're always gonna make mistakes, grammatical mistakes. And as an English teacher, if I listen back to it, I'm like, oh, why did I say that? Why did I say it like that? How did I slip up with that word?
Studied linguistics. That was my profession for a number of years, and it's just horrifying to hear myself speak.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah. So this study, New York City Marathon, 2019. I was going to say, do you guys remember where you were in 2019? But then we're going to talk about COVID. And, So
pre-COVID, young buck.
It was a
happy, no problems.
Happier days.
Actually, I was super injured. I was super injured in 2019. Yes.
Alex Cyr was not a runner in 2019.
Yeah. That was a bad year.
But this group of academics and doctors pulled together nearly 1,000 New York City Marathon runners, would-be runners for the 2019 New York City Marathon. They got 867 participants. That's a significant study.
Mm-hmm.
We look at a lot of studies in running that are like 14 well-trained college athletes or whatever. And it's like, what does that mean for me, right? In many cases, it means 0, right? So in this case, 867 of the 50-ish thousand people that ran the New York City Marathon, or that were training for it at least, were put through a battery of tests. They were asked to do a baseline test before a 16-week build, and then they checked in with them throughout the 16-week build. So this test was really nicely constructed as well. Clearly, the people that put together were marathon runners. And they had them do a variety of different strength-oriented exercises throughout their build, and then self-report on them. And they found that one of all the different strength exercises, one in particular was linked to a 64% lower risk of injury in these 867 runners.
Yeah, that's astonishing.
Wait.
Yeah.
Let's not say it. Let's list the exercises and see if the listener can spend a split second guessing which exercise was the winner. So we have push-ups, heel raises, side planks, single leg glute bridge, and then 2 flexibility exercises, like a quad stretch and then a sit and reach. So spend 3 seconds and guess which one of them was the most indicative and the most valuable in staying healthy.
And I'll give you a further hint from our opening intro segment, where we were talking about how this one exercise was going to solve all your life problems, including relationship problems. Now imagine you're having an argument with your loved one, and then to resolve that argument, you just get down and start doing this exercise.
So ridiculous.
Although, push-ups is pretty funny.
In its own right.
Yeah.
Push-ups pretty funny.
Kind of insulting in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's nothing as weird and off-putting as seeing your partner throw him or herself on the ground and start performing a single leg glute bridge right in front of you as you've just told them that they're not doing enough chores around the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mid-fight.
Right. I can't believe you didn't pay for that parking ticket. Yeah, that's
1, 2, 3, 4.
Are they firing? Are they firing?
They're not firing.
They're not firing.
So we gave it away. It's the single leg glute bridge. And I mean, okay, I'm biased because I came into it knowing the study, but I feel like that's what I would have guessed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most strength programs have some type of glute activation exercise inside of them. And then the single leg thing also checks out with mostly everything that I've learned in terms of strength training for runners and the importance of balance within that. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But the results are kind of striking, right? Like the first thing that jumped at me was, as a side, they found that 36% of runners incurred an overuse injury during their marathon build. So more than 1/3.
Yeah, that's a lot.
If that was not the impetus for this study, I don't know what is. Like that shows, I think, what we already knew, that runners tend to get injured a lot in a marathon build. So more than 1 in 3 people. But apparently, if you did this single leg glute bridge and that you could hold it for, and this is interesting, we're going to get back to this, 20 to 29 seconds, that was linked to a 64% lower risk of injury than those who managed to hold it for just 0 to 9 seconds. So that's pretty huge.
Yeah. Okay, so let's play a little game here. Story time. Something revealing in each of us.
Oh boy.
Single worst. Let's stick to repetitive stress injuries. We let's not talk about falling on our face. I know, Katelyn, you've actually had a very serious injury in ultra running when you fell literally on your face. I'm not making light of that. I'm just like, I know we've talked about it in the podcast before. You've literally fallen on your face, which is just like horrifying. But like the injuries we do to ourselves, the repetitive stress injuries, the classic runner injury where we ignore something, keep going, and then it gets too bad that we can't even run anymore. What's your single worst repetitive stress injury? And then let's see if the single glute bridge can fix it. Mr. Cyr, we'll start with you.
Had I only known about the single
the king
glute
of
bridge
injuries.
back in 20. So I mentioned 2019 was a bad year for injuries. It was actually the second of 2 years. In 2018, I was training hard for the mile, and I hit a good streak where I was running slight PRs in every race, the mile / 1500 meters, and then the 5K on the track. And I extended the season a bit too long. I wasn't hitting the goal that I had first set out for myself, and I did at the very end, but that was at the end of a, I think, 22-week season, or even 26-week season. It was pretty much half a year. It was very long. And by the end, I had little sorenesses in my knee, nothing to write home about. I took 2 weeks off, didn't do a single thing, came back. The pain was worse. Oh. Took another 2 weeks off. The pain was getting worse once again. Turns out I had hit one of these injuries that don't just get better with rest, but they need strengthening to get better. And my regular routine of just running a lot wasn't covering that type of strengthening that I needed. So the injury was a two-parter. And it affected what we call like antagonist structures in the body, which you really don't want, because if you look at your body, a lot of muscles work in tandem, right? Like your bicep will flex your arm, your tricep will extend your arm. If you have an injury to the bicep and the tricep, can't do much with your arm. Mm-hmm. So I had this issue with my knee. I had patellar tendonitis. So tendonitis and inflammation around the kneecap, also called runner's knee. And then on the flip side, behind my leg, I had hamstring tendonitis. So if I flexed my leg too much, it hurt. If I extended my leg too much, it hurt. And so it was like a bad, like vicious type of pendulum kind of thing. Whereas if I favored my hamstring, I put more pressure on my patella, and that started hurting more. And then after a few days of doing that, I would reverse course and then have more issues with my hamstring. All of this being walking, like not even running. I could not run. I struggled to get up the stairs. Wow. This took me out of the sport for the better part of 2 years.
Yikes.
Yeah,
2
which is crazy.
years?
And it's tendonitis, right? It's like an inflammation. It's not, there was no structural damage. It's not like I had a torn labrum or meniscus. It was just, I had to figure out my strength. I needed to find the strength routine that would help me out of it and also control my inflammation. And that took forever, man. It took forever.
Takes a long time to get rid of that.
Yeah. So I got surgery, arthroscopic surgery. Jury was out over whether or not I actually needed it. The surgeon was kind of split, and he's like, we could do it. Ended up kind of helping. And by the end of it, I came out of the injury with the resolution to try to control my inflammation a lot more and strengthen my legs in a better way. And glute bridges were a part of that. Mm-hmm. But so, I wish I would have known how important they seem to be, especially the single leg ones. But I was doing them. I was doing them by the end.
So all this to say, the single leg glute bridge could have resolved your problems for you.
That or a million other things. That's the thing. You're trying to get out of an injury. You're trying so many things that by the end, you're not sure what exactly gave. It's the earlier sleeps, the no more drinks. Oh, I was doing everything under the sun.
But that always tends to come when it's too late, right? It comes after you've ignored many warning signs.
Yep.
And you've pushed on through and you've overtaxed your body. And in that case, tendonitis is so extreme that you start to become desperate. Mm-hmm. So, Ms. Tocci,
well,
what's your great sin?
No, to be honest, I'm a lot like you, Michael, and I feel very lucky because I don't get injured. I don't get injured. The times I've gotten injured, like you've mentioned, I've fallen a few times in a trail race. It's pretty common to fall, and a couple of them have been a little tricky. So I've had, a bone bruise and these sorts of things, but they actually heal up pretty quickly, and it's because of a fall. So, just a really, really bad bruise on a knee or something like that from hitting a root. But this was actually just coming out of COVID, or like right smack dab in the middle, talking around that 2020 stage. And I was continuing to run. And I went to my physical therapist and I was like, hey, listen, this is like the first time ever in now it was like by then 8, 9, 10 years of competitive running that I actually feel something that makes me stop running. Like I had to literally stop and call an Uber on one of my runs. I said, and it was also just this pain in my knee. And it's exactly the same thing that Alex had. I had patella tendinitis, and that's what it ended up being. Yeah, which is crazy. It's exactly the same overuse injury. So I have the best physio to me in the world, because he always fixes any tiny problems before they actually become real problems. So this actually kind of extended to a big problem. In COVID, you're not doing a lot of extra stuff. You're not getting out as much as you used to. So I went to him, and he checked it out, and he did these little, movement flexibility tests and mobility tests, and to see what was going on. He was like, yeah, you have patellar tendinitis. He got an ultrasound. It's completely inflamed, swollen. And the first question he said to me was, how's that strength training been going? And I looked at him with these like big doe eyes, because I started running because a gym decided to take me on as an athlete. So I've been strength training since day one of being a runner. And I looked at him and I was like, well, it was the pandemic. I didn't really strength train. And he was like, well, Katelyn, there's your answer. And I was like, oh.
No.
He's like, if you're looking for the root of that problem, my friend, that's what it was, that you stopped strength training. And that's why I've been a huge advocate of strength training, because the one time in my 12-year running career that I've been injured. And luckily it wasn't as bad as yours, Alex, because I was able, the remedy was the same. Well, not surgery. I had to do a strength training. So I would go with him twice a week, and we would do a lot of unilateral stuff, right? Just like a single leg glute bridge would be, a lot of one-legged jumps, up a block, down a block, just trying to do single leg lunges, starting with all isometric stuff, which we're talking about an isometric glute bridge, right? Where you stay in one position and you hold it. Because when you have tendinitis like that, you want to avoid flexing, right? And extending and flexing and extending over and over and over again by doing repetitive lunges. So you do a lot of isometric work and a lot of kind of jumps to get it better. And I was still allowed to run. I just had to really, really, really shave down the volume, and I was able to get through it. And from that time on, if you're listening, Alejandro, I have never stopped going to the gym again.
Shout out to Alejandro.
Yeah, I swear.
I feel like I just need to throw this out there. Like, embedded in both of these stories is this weird truth, as far as I know, and all of my physiotherapists know, about tendons. And it's that it's rarely pure rest that helps them heal. It's like some amount of loading, but it's so tricky, because it's not just the more rest, the better is not true. And the more load, the better is also not true. It's like finding a sweet spot of how much your tendon can take on that day, and then start again the next day. I don't wish acute or I guess chronic tendinitis on anyone, because it's hard to get rid of.
It's frustrating. It took months. For you, it took 2 years. I was complaining because it took me about 4 months for it to go away completely.
That's still a lot, right? It's like, for me, it was on and off. But Michael, was yours? I feel like I know yours.
And Michael also almost never gets injured.
Yeah.
So
I have a streak going, guys. I don't believe in streaks. I am like, I think the running streak. Actually, speaking of how to get yourself injured, start doing a running streak and become obsessed with that. That's a surefire way to find yourself becoming injured, because you're like not listening to your body and you're focusing on this sort of external thing instead of internal. Yeah. I have the good kind of streak going, which is I have not had a serious, significant injury that's taken me out for more than a day or two since, let me do the math here, the spring of 2013.
Nice.
12 years.
That's
Great
when
going.
Alex was 9.
Mhm.
Yes. Just finishing grade 2.
Your Teletubby phase.
I was
yes.
You took the
Took me a
words
couple
out of
years.
my mouth.
Yeah.
Teletubbies.
Teletubby phase. Yes.
Because I was going to say Power Rangers, and then I was going to say, oh no, Power Rangers are way too old for Alex.
Alex is not even certain what a Power Ranger is.
No. Yeah. I caught the tail end of the Power Rangers.
Okay.
But Teletubbies was my jam.
Yeah.
Then Pokemon.
Yes. Yeah. So I too also had a very similar, like to what you're describing here, where it's kind of tendinitis-y. Mine was IT band, left side.
Mm-hmm.
That's my it's always been my problem. I always have to be careful with my left side of my leg and IT band.
Mm.
It just got so bad that I couldn't even walk properly. Completely ignored everything. Wasn't doing a whole lot of strength training. Was doing a whole lot of running. I was running. Oh man, I actually found one of my like running logs from that era, from like 2012. The 2012 New York City Marathon build was a thing of beauty. The numbers in that log were insane.
What are we talking
here?
What
the hell was I doing with my life back then? I was running like 20 hours a week.
You were only running.
It was insane. I was only running.
Yeah.
No wonder that relationship fell apart. Jesus. I was just like, just running. No child, obviously.
Oh my God. What's peak week at the time?
210 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
That's
I did
crazy.
200 and 210 in that one build. And then, surprise, surprise, without any strength training really, and just a hell of a lot of running, I started to have injury issues that then turned into a full-on injury. That actually turned into a torn calf in the end.
Oh.
But I know that what the real issue was this super tight kinetic chain all the way down, stemming from a very tight hip, stemming from a sleepy set of glutes. And
there you go.
And a lack of mobility in my hips, a lack of core strength. I've since figured all this stuff out. But I had to learn the hard way with a pretty serious injury that had me like not walking properly. Like I was like walking up and down stairs weird just to get up and down the stairs. Yeah, it was bad news. So all this to say, the single leg glute bridge would have also saved me. And this is like an interesting sidebar here that we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but you know how everyone who doesn't run says like, how are your knees when you tell them that you're a runner, or when they find out that you're running a lot or training for a half or a marathon? And that's the great fallacy in running, is that your knees give you that you have bad knees from running. Running actually, straight by all accounts, there's a lot of science that says running strengthens your knees and the cartilage in your knees and tendons, so on and so forth. But I think this is where that myth comes from, is what ends up happening when you don't have a lot of, let's call it sort of like core girdle strength and flexibility, is all of that stress and pressure shifts down and accumulates in the patella region underneath your knee, which causes runner's knee, right? Yeah. And that can happen to really new runners who are ramping up really quickly. And then it can also happen to the three of us who are just grinding ourselves into dust over time with lots and lots of running. So there we have it. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come right back. And then during the break, the three of us will draw straws.
Okay. And
then one of us will get the honor or the humiliation of ASMRing a single leg glute bridge afterwards. We will describe for you what a single leg glute bridge is, how to effectively do it, what that sweet spot is. We'll talk a little bit about like why 20 to 29 seconds, why we hypothesize that might be the reason why that's the sweet spot, and why you don't want to do more, why you don't want to do less. All right, I'll go clip the straws and we'll figure out who's going to do this. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Katelyn Tocci, you have drawn the shortest straw. Actually, you're just like the most knowledgeable about this stuff. So
it feels
we're going to turn it over to you. Yeah, we're going to turn it over to you.
Let me be clear, though. When you said we're going to ASMR the single leg glute bridge, do you mean like she's going to give a detailed explanation, or she's going to like get on the ground and we're going to hear her just go like,
oh, yeah, the latter. We're going to we're gonna go quiet for about a minute and a half here. If you're watching on video, you can see that Katelyn will be going on the floor behind the desk. You won't be able to see her in the shot anymore.
Yeah,
and we're just gonna quietly listen in. Yeah,
just for 29 seconds though.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Don't go longer, and we'll talk about that in a second.
If I can even hold it for 29 seconds.
Maybe like the awkward thrust at the top. You see a leg kick up, and it's like, oh, there's one.
We have videos of me doing the glute bridges, the single leg glute bridge, and actually right now, this morning I was cranking up that newsletter guide, so it's going to go right along with the podcast. So we'll have the link. We'll have the link in the show notes. Yeah, of course.
You're doing my work for me. I don't even. Perfect. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. It goes out every day of the week, and accompanying Thursday's newsletter with this podcast will be a complete explainer with a visual explainer of how to do this exercise. And I'm going to try to insert it, and we'll have it inserted into the
perfect,
the video version of it as well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those listening along here, let's do our most entertaining, engaging version of describing something in an audio podcast that we can do here. Okay. So single leg glute bridge. How do we do it right, Katelyn Tocci?
Okay.
I hand it over to you.
Here we go. Okay, so first, you're going to want to get on your back. So lie on your back, knees bent, your feet about hip width apart, and your feet flat on the ground. Okay, some people do glute bridges on their heels. That will engage your hamstrings a little bit more, if I'm not mistaken. So feet flat on the ground. You're going to engage your core, squeeze those glutes, and press through your heels to lift your hips up, right? So your hips are nice and off the ground, and you're creating a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Now that you've got this first position, to make it single leg, once you're stable and ready to go, you're going to extend one leg straight out off the ground so it continues that line. So now your shoulders, hips, and leg, right? You want to make sure you keep your hips nice and level. Keep firing those glutes, squeeze those glutes, and hold that position.
Yeah, so I guess if you don't feel your butt clenching, you're not doing it right. Yeah.
Right. And you can put your hands, down by your sides. However, I feel like sometimes we cheat a little bit when we put our hands down by our sides, just this little bit of a tip because you kind of press on the ground. So I think if you want to give yourself more of a challenge, you could even like cross your arms across your chest, like have your hands on your shoulders. Ooh. So there's just two, which would make it more challenging. So maybe you can try with your arms straight and by your sides. And then if you want more of a challenge and you're getting this 29 seconds really easily, you could cross your arms across your chest, and then that would be a little more challenging for you.
I am not ready for the cross my arms on my chest stage of the glute bridge yet. Alex, are you there? Are you at the, can you perform the exercise that way?
I can. Yeah.
Impressive.
Katelyn, do you have any takes on the bands? Like I use a band to put around my legs for that extra little resistance.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to put the band around your legs as well, because what usually happens in these sorts of exercises is that our knees tend to collapse inward, right? And so it's a great way to make sure that you're always pushing your knees outward against those bands for that resistance. And you're also going to feel more of a burn as well, but you're also going to keep yourself, like, it's just a reminder, a mental note not to let your knees collapse inward. It's like with squats as well.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'll be honest, the result of this study the magnitude of it surprised me. The exercise in question did not surprise me, because I was always told, I had this old physio maybe like 10 years ago, who was a little bit crazy and was big on glute strength. And she kept always saying, yeah, you want your glutes to be so strong that they could crack open a walnut. And that image never left my mind. And so I was always on this train of like, get your glutes as strong as you possibly can. Hence my use of the band. But the study had a funny little wrinkle to it. And I'm not sure what to make of it. Of course, even though the size of the study was huge, errors always happen. So you got to take these things with a grain of salt. But here was the weird little wrinkle. If you could hold the glute bridge for 20 to 29 seconds, you were 64% less likely to develop an injury. But if you could hold the glute bridge for more than 30 seconds, you were only 49% less likely to develop an injury, suggesting, is there such a thing as an ass that's just too strong?
Is my butt too powerful for running?
This is a very good question.
And when can you start cracking open walnuts? 30 seconds?
And
45?
Should you crack open walnuts for others? In this
Well, not me.
situation?
I'm allergic, so that would not go down well.
No, that would not be a good plan, Alex.
Yeah, no.
That would be awkward. Yeah, that's a really weird wrinkle in this study, that it's pretty clear that there is such thing as too strong an ass, at least when it comes to preventing injury in running, is that the effect is dampened if you take this exercise into the 30 plus second realm. So it's not like the more you do, the infinitely stronger, or like it plateaus and it stays at that level of sort of warding off injury and having this overall strength. It's actually not as effective if you're doing more than 29 seconds. So hit the sweet spot, 20 to 29 second single leg glute bridge. You alter sides, right? You're going to have a weak side. Everyone has a weak side.
Mm-hmm.
What's your weak side? Are you a righty or a lefty?
I'm weak on my left side.
Me too.
I am as well. Do you think it has anything to do with handedness?
I don't know. Michael, are you of the age where they like forced you to be right-handed when you were growing up?
Wow, he's using what he knows against me. He's weaponizing the intimacy of our friendship.
We have had a conversation about this.
Oh, you have. He
I am a lefty who does not write with my left hand. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you were forced. I see.
I was forced. I was of the last generation of people who were forced to switch their handedness for the convenience of the elementary school teacher. But yeah.
Well, they didn't want to get you a left-handed desk, Michael.
They ran out. The one kid got it, and I was like, "Sorry, you're at D." The person with the last name B got it first, so you're now right-handed. Welcome to public education in Nova Scotia, Canada in the 1980s. Yes. No, but my left side's always the bad side. And then that sort of begs the eternal question of like, is your weak side actually your strong side because it's overcompensating all the time and it's weak? Or is it stronger? I don't know. These are metaphysical questions, existential questions to do with injury. And I'm sure a physiotherapist is like, screaming at their iPhone right now as they listen to us talking because they're like, the answer is this.
Yeah.
But, well, they can comment so we can know and mention it for next time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And these things also vary, right? Like I feel sometimes that like one part of my left side is stronger than that part of my right side and then vice versa. So I think it's complicated, I guess, but I tend to get more injuries because there's something not working well on my left side. So I don't know.
Well, I think the moral of the story is to continue to do a ton of unilateral exercises, no matter what it is, like work them in, not just glute bridges. But that's why, runners were known to do a ton of lunges, your single leg deadlifts, like anything that's going to do one-sided. So you can try to work out some of those muscle imbalances a little bit and make, you don't want to overcompensate with your right leg doing, just only tons of squats. But when you have to do lunges and stuff, you're going to work, you're going to kind of like spread out that work a little bit and only focus on one leg at a time. So that's why unilateral exercises are really the way to go.
I have another weird question and thought for you guys.
Okay.
when you're regulating your breathing and running.
Oh, this is a good one.
When you breathe out on a foot, what's your foot that you like to breathe out on? Which side?
What?
No, I know where Michael is going, where he's going with this, because there's some great research, and we haven't planned for it, so I can't go into it, but about your breathing pattern and how you don't want to breathe with 2 steps and 2 steps, because it's like the inhale and exhale, because it's a good idea, right? Sometimes you want that 3-2, so you're not always inhaling and exhaling on the same foot. Is that kind of where you're going with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think about this weird stuff all the time when I'm running. I'm like, okay, am I breathing out on my left when I'm striking down with my left foot or my right foot? Am I alternating?
Right.
What's the best way to do this? Yeah.
That's another podcast. We gotta.
It's a whole other thing. I've just opened a can of worms.
Holy.
Here. Okay.
I have to try to think about this.
Do you think about that? I mean, I think about this stuff all the time when I'm running.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to do that. And you know what? I'm going to leave you guys more homework. Let's focus on how we're breathing when we're running. Here's Teacher Katelyn. And then another thing is, when you're running, or maybe this is just where I live, when you're running on very uneven sidewalks and there are a lot of steps and curves that you need to jump up and down, when you go down, when you step down, or you step up, do you always do it with the same foot?
Oh my God, I never thought of that.
I thought of this. I did think about that. Yeah. And my answer is, when I do that, it's because I'm subconsciously favoring a side, and I try to avoid doing that. It's like when I'm coming back from an injury.
Right.
And there's no active pain, but there's this mental pattern of favoring my right side or left side, and then I somewhat negotiate the route to do the harder steps on the foot or the leg that hasn't been injured. And it's a good thing you bring this up, because I try to fight against that, because that's a great way to like reinforce a pattern. Like everything that's hard, I do with my right leg, and then my left leg just kind of drags along. That is the recipe for another injury or a lingering injury.
Man, I think it's my left foot now that I'm thinking about it, but I'm going to, I have a run to do later on today, and I'm just going to analyze the hell out of my run.
Yeah.
Out of what I'm doing.
What we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Final question for you. Final intimate question for you. The socks that say R and L. How do you guys feel about that?
Can't say I notice a difference, but I do it for superstition.
So you always, when you have the socks that say, this is your right foot, this is your left foot, you always abide by it and put on your foot, use the right foot for the right sock.
I do.
Yeah, I would probably change it if I accidentally put them on the wrong foot.
Yeah, I think that's a A-type runner thing. And that's why I hate those socks.
Can I share a quick sock story while we're on the topic of socks?
Why the hell not?
So I've gotten into this sock brand, and they don't sponsor the pod, but they're really different and wacky. So I'm gonna name drop here. They're called Injinji. Injinji, I think.
Do they make toe socks?
They make toe socks.
They're the trail runner's dream.
Yes, and while I am no fan of toe shoes, I've come to really like toe socks. So I was feeling a little bit of tension under my foot. I self-diagnosed myself on the trip with like a very mild version of Morton's neuroma. Not sure if that's what it was, but it's basically what happens when your toes are crunching too much. And I was walking a lot around Vienna, and I had shoes that were somewhat narrow. And so anyway, I started wearing these toe socks to try to splay my toes as much as I could just on the daily, and kind of got addicted to them, and my little issue went away. And so I just started wearing them every day, and I have a lot of pairs. And by mistake, I went to my in-laws' house and forgot that I had them on, and took my shoes off and looked like some weird monkey man. They were like, "What's going on with your feet?" And I was like, "Right, these weird toe
I'm
socks."
teaching myself to write with my feet. I'm teaching myself to play piano with my feet.
Yes. And I proceeded to grab the glass of water with my right foot and drink. And
Oh, but yes, I'm very familiar with Injinji. I use them a bunch because when you're doing ultras, and it doesn't matter how much diaper cream you put on your toes, that's for another pod.
Much what?
Much like diaper cream, to reduce chafing, because it works much better than Vaseline.
You guys don't slather your body, Alex, you don't slather your body in diaper cream when you go for a run?
I don't. I have Vaseline.
One day when you become an ultra trail guy, eventually it's going to happen to you. You're just going to start doing all this weird shit. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's no.
Thanks. But those socks are a great way so you don't get blisters like in between your toes when it's miles upon miles upon miles. It's a really nice way to avoid that. So I've been using Injinjis for a really long time. But yes, not on social calls, Alex. Alex, do you wear running clothes to social events?
Oh God, no.
Okay,
no,
good.
No. I'm already like. Yeah, no, I'm already like that guy in a lot of my friend groups, and so I try not to reinforce it. Okay. If they want to ask me about it, they can, but I try to not add any visual stimulus to the legend, to the myth. So no.
We have Lululemon to thank because they sort of that company sort of dragged what is now known as athleisure wear into the kind of mainstream social consciousness. So it became okay to wear like a Nike running shirt somewhere. It didn't look odd, right? Yeah. So like much of my wardrobe is running adjacent. I could break into a comfortable run if I had to.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Victor and I have conversations before activities because if I don't say anything, he will go in Coach Victor running clothes everywhere. So he like looks, he's like, do I have to wear jeans to this? Yes, please wear jeans. Please wear jeans.
It's like jeans with a little stretch just in case I need to do a 10K. All right. Let's wrap that up. One final thing to point out. A couple of the authors from this study co-authored another study that is useful to point out here, and this may be the most obvious thing ever, but it's worthwhile doing these studies, right? And in this study, they were kind of hunting for what broadly causes the most or triggers injuries the most amount of times for runners. And they discovered that the most obvious cause of injury in runners, and this seems so painfully obvious, was doubling the distance of your long run triggered the most injuries.
Really?
128% higher injury values.
I would say so.
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine going out and being like, last week I ran 15K. This week, let's do 30.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. And that's like maybe a newer runner mistake or somebody who is in our position and is trying to kind of cram in a whole bunch of training with 12 weeks left before the marathon, for example.
Who's wearing a green hat as we speak.
Perhaps.
Maybe. No, but actually
might host a podcast about running.
who's already dropped 210K weeks, so it doesn't seem so bad. Yeah. No, but you made me think of something like doubling your long run to me sounds insane. But if you are starting out as a runner and your long run has been 20 minutes, it's not that much of a stretch to be like, well, I'm going to try 40 minutes. So no, you know what? I'm just thinking, fair. I have a family member who just got into running. He said he ran 30 minutes the other day and now every part of his body hurts. And I was like, how did you build up to it? And he's like, well, I'd been doing 20 minutes here and there and then I did 30 minutes. Like, yeah, well, if you've never done 30 minutes, that's a big jump. So I guess it is all relative.
All right. The single exercise to stave off the vast majority of injuries for those of us training for a marathon is the single leg glute bridge. It is the silver bullet. Give it a try. Tell us what you think. Really curious to hear our audience's feedback on that. Do you do the glute bridge? Let us know. You can send us an email. We've got a new email address. It's podcast@marathonhandbook.com. I got that right? Correct, guys? Mm-hmm. I'm always like screwing up the email address, right? I got that one right. Okay. And we've got a new feature, actually. We'll put it in the show notes, a link to it on our site, where you can actually like click on the link and you can record yourself on your phone or your computer. You can record an audio message for us if you so wish. We are doing a mailbag episode. I think we do it quarterly. We've had it pretty steadily quarterly for the last year, and we're going to stick to that program. We've got a lot of questions already for our early fall quarterly mailbag. and we'd love to hear your voice. We'd like to hear your questions. So click on the link, record. I think it's up to 90 seconds, but record a brief question or a comment, or you can make fun of Alex, whatever you want to do. And,
Please.
And we'll play it. We'll play it in that episode. So we'll put a link there. I don't think we're going to turn this into a regular weekly segment, but before we get out of here, guys, we got a question via our new email address, podcast@marathonhandbook.com, from Liam in London. And I feel like we need to address it right away because he is in the midst of training for a fall marathon, for the Lisbon Marathon on October 25th. And it's one of these things where if we leave it until September, October, it might be too late for Liam. So I thought I sent it to both of you, but I will read it for our audience now. He said a whole bunch of nice stuff first, which maybe I shouldn't have cut out, but it was very complimentary. Thank you, Liam. And he says here, the meat and the potatoes of it is he is training for the Lisbon Marathon in October, and he's currently 5 weeks into his 14-week build. I think we got this email about a week ago. It's his third marathon, and it's his first since April 2024, where he ran 3:49 and change. Completely fell apart the last 5 miles. And then he ran the Paris Marathon this year and improved to 3:16.26.
Holy
having
smokes.
learned a lot from the first time around. Yeah, that's a big
Wow.
jump.
Yeah,
There's
amazing.
there's a lot to be learned, right? In that early stages of running a marathon. It's a lot to be learned. Okay, so he says, my training for Lisbon is going well, and I'm targeting 3:05. Yes.
Nice.
Let's go.
I feel like sub 3 might be within reach. Oh
boy, this is
we know where this is going. Okay, Liam, hang on here. I'm currently running around 50 miles a week. That's what, about 85 kilometers a week?
Yep.
Thereabouts?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's a...
For those of us who live outside the draconian imperial system. And following a good, well-structured plan. The main difference for this build is that I've been doing a little bit more threshold work, yes, and also including marathon pace blocks towards the end of my long runs. Double yes. Doing
nice
all the right
going
things here.
Yeah.
Assuming the rest of the build goes to plan, should I risk it and set out for sub 3 pace? Or is it better to stick to my guns and stay with the 3:05 range? Sub 3 has become a big goal, and I'm planning to run a spring 2026 marathon, most likely Rotterdam. Good choice. It feels like that may be more realistic a time goal to go all out for sub 3. Would appreciate any advice on this. I got into running properly in the past few years and have dabbled for a while. I'm now 41. How did that happen? I feel you, Liam. I'm 45.
We feel it. We know.
Soon we're all going to be dead. I don't know what's happening here. Time
Michael.
So
Jesus.
I still feel new to a lot of this. Yeah. Keep up the great work with the pod and everything Marathon Handbook related. Liam from London. Okay, Liam from London. You have our attention. I love this email. I love the ambition. I love the goal. I love the thinking.
I love the progress. Holy smokes.
Beautiful progress. Although you can see that, right? Like you start focusing on your training. You start putting the pieces together. You're doing a lot of things right. You're building season over season. And you start making jumps, especially, I missed the jumps. Oh, those big personal best jumps were amazing in the early stages, weren't they? Anyway, okay, so a couple things to take away here. He's still pretty new to marathon running. He says he's been running for a while, but he's been running sort of more focused for a few years now. And he's doing this will be his third marathon? Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you think Liam should stretch for sub 3?
Can I just throw in a personal story? Okay. And it's very quick. Liam, for a marathon that I ran, not for Boston, but the previous year, I was training for and going for a 3:06. And so we're very close here, 3:06, 3:06. And in my training and getting to the marathon, I said, no, I'm going to push for the sub 3.
Oh,
and I did the same thing. And I thought, no, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really strong. I can do this at this marathon. I'm going to do it. And I ended up running a 3:12 because I burnt out. And so,
you would have taken a 3:06 the minute
I would have
you
loved
crossed the
it.
finish line.
I would have reveled in a 3:06. I would have gone crazy celebrating a 3:06. And I was so bummed out. And of course, okay, I love that time. It was a great time. I'm happy with that time. I know it's a great time, but I would have, if I had just stayed on track, I would have been happy with that 3:06. And then I would have said, okay, now next year, if everything keeps going this well, like you have this spring marathon planned, then that's the time to start training at those paces and make sure that you can hit those paces and they feel great. And you have the 3:06 under your belt. It's not the 3:05 under your belt. It's not such a big jump. And you have all that time to do another training cycle to really focus on that pace. So I would say, unless for some reason your current marathon pace for the 3:05 feels ridiculously easy and you're just like gliding through it with no problem and it feels like an easy run, then I would say get the 3:05 under your belt. Maybe you'll even do a 3:04 if you can speed up at the very end. If you have gas in the tank in the last 5K, let it rip. And maybe you'll even get under that time and just like stay on track and love that time. I don't know. Am I being too conservative, guys?
No, I don't think so. I think you're spouting a lot of wisdom. Let me ask you a key question, Katelyn, because this matters to my point. You said you burnt out. You burnt out in training or you burnt out in the race?
No, the race. The race.
In the race.
Mm-hmm.
So were you training at sub 3 hour pace?
No. So I'm thinking,
Okay.
I'm thinking that I'm thinking that probably
Brutal.
maybe Liam is also, the sub 3 hour pace was my threshold pace because a 3:06, I think roughly, and is the marathon pace is, that's how it would have worked out.
4:24 a kilometer, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
Trying to do the
3:06.
miles here because I know Liam's in London.
Yep.
And Londoners, people in the UK tend to run on miles still, which makes no sense, but whatever. It's a different conversation for a different day. It's just under it's like just under 7-minute miles, something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's 70. It's just over. It's 70, around 7:04 a mile, 7:05 a mile pace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
yeah. This is the maybe the slight advice that I have for you, Liam, because I'm actually living a similar thing in that I'm pretty new to the half marathon and I'm training for my third half. So you're training for your third full, I'm training for my third half. And so it's early like that where jumps happen. And given that you are a newer runner, your jumps are wild and you're off the map. So I get it. It's really hard to predict. Maybe you're a 2:55 guy in 6 weeks and maybe you're stuck at 3:16. It's so hard to know at that stage. Mm-hmm. So I feel your pain. What I can likely guarantee to you, Liam, is that you're probably not a sub 3 runner today. Maybe you are at the end of this build, but I doubt that you're already a sub 3 runner today. It's almost like you haven't had enough time in this training build. And so I think it's too early in your block to start training like a sub 3 hour runner. But I'm not saying don't do that near the end. So here's where I'm coming from. I am doing this thing. I made a video about this and it's in the hopper. It's going to come out on our YouTube channel soon. And my whole shtick for my current half marathon build, I'm doing Cardiff. So that's a couple weeks before you do Lisbon, is to not focus too much on time goals too early, because I find that it's impacting my training a little bit too much. And so I'm really trying to dial into paces. So what's threshold pace feeling like? What's marathon pace feeling like? As opposed to, well, I should be running 7-minute miles. I should be running this for my threshold pace. So my goal this fall is to choose a goal pace in the maybe 2 weeks leading up to the race, because then I'll have the most feedback to know how fit I am. So I would encourage you to try the same thing. Don't get too caught up right now on whether you're a 3-hour guy or a 3:05 guy. Just stick to your paces. Try to hone in on how hard thresholds should feel, how hard marathon pace should feel, and just click off the weeks. And by October 15th, I think it's going to become somewhat clear to you what you can do. And be honest with yourself. Maybe you got the chops. Maybe you're good to go at 259, but maybe it still feels challenging and maybe it still feels hard. And if that's the case, there's no shame in dropping your PR by 10 minutes.
Exactly.
And then coming back next year and dropping another 6 minutes. You say you're 41, you have time. You have time. You're improving at such a fast rate that, even Michael is still running sub 3. You have like 20 years. How old are
I'll never not run sub 3, right, guys? That's
yeah. What are we talking about?
Forever. Well,
yeah, that's gonna work out for me. I would say this. Okay, so sub 3 hour marathon pace is 6:51 mile pace or 19 or 18.
14. No, I think it's
or 14.
14.
Okay,
I think it's faster.
Yeah, as both of you said, I think you need to, like, one of the big mistakes in training is to think of your entire training, 16 weeks, say, block, as like a static program where you're like, this is my marathon pace, and I'm going to do marathon pace, which is going to be the same pace throughout the entire. Your body is always evolving, always changing, especially if you are sticking to your program and you're training really well. You're eating well, you're getting enough sleep, and you're doing those single leg glute bridges that we talked about and other strength training stuff. You're improving, right? Adaptations. You're creating stress on your body and your body's adapting. And I would say you should pay very close attention to I think these lactate threshold workouts are amazing. I think you're doing everything right.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds to me like you're figuring it out and you're putting the pieces together. I would start looking at those workouts really closely. I would look at your heart rate data as well, and evaluate if it's your true lactate threshold. I would even maybe throw in a time trial or a tune-up race.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. Katelyn loves those.
That was another thing I was going to say. Take a test. Take a test and see if you have to adjust your paces.
Throw something in, like, even like 4 to 6 weeks before the race. See how it goes. See where you're at. And you might be pleasantly surprised by what the numbers suggest. Now, also be mindful that the marathon is a chess match with your own self and with your body and your mind, and that last 10 kilometers of a marathon is a very difficult thing, as sounds like you have learned in the past with having a tough time in the last 5 miles of your first marathon. So keep that in mind, that there's a learning curve that still needs to develop here. And things can go really sideways. And as Katelyn said, if you try to reach a little too far, it's a precipitous loss in the last 10 kilometers of a marathon.
Brutal.
Shit can go sideways real fast in the last 10K.
Yeah.
You walk, you're losing minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You slow down to a jog, you're losing minutes, right? It can be very, very difficult. So you really got to thread that needle. I would also say, and I have to be very cautious in suggesting this. I almost feel like I want to do that, like, this is not legal advice or whatever, like that preamble you hear in professional fields, but it's
at your own risk.
Do this at your own risk. Yeah. I don't know. You're saying you're around 85 kilometers a week. You're a 41-year-old guy, but you've not been running for more, let's say if you've been running seriously for a few years, not a long, long time. So you try to edge that. I don't know what the peak week mileage is for your program. And don't go radical with it. Don't
double your long run.
Don't double your long run. But mileage is king in the marathon. It is. And you need to slowly and safely work towards building up to a tolerance that's as high as you can get it without falling into repetitive stress injury land. I know that sub 3 hour marathoners, I live in that world of those people. 100 kilometer week or more usually starts to deliver the sub 3. So if you can figure out a way to bridge that gap and get safely to that threshold of mileage in a week, that might help you. But maybe, and this is probably the wiser move, take your 3:05 and then the spring goal, sub 3. You live in London, you don't get a lot of snow. Wintertime is a tough grind, but it's not nearly as bad as, say, Canada or the Northeast United States. You can get all your long runs done in the wintertime. Maybe Rotterdam, which is a just pancake flat PR machine of a course. Maybe that becomes your point of focus. But who knows? Let's see how this season goes. We want to hear from you. We want to know how it goes.
I need to know what happens.
Yeah. Without becoming like your elder counsel here, let us know. And we're really curious to hear how this evolves, how your training goes. Definitely do that test. Definitely figure out kind of where you're at. Track your progress as you inevitably get fitter throughout the season. And we want to hear how you do in Lisbon and beyond, Liam. And thank you for the email. Super excited for you. Let's running.
Go.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Good
Okay,
luck.
guys. Let's wrap this one up here. Tease next week because we know what's going on next week. Next week, there's a little old race called the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, a ultra marathon, the grand poobah of ultra marathons on the world calendar every year. It's happening next week. We're going to talk all about ultras. We'll call this is a Katelyn episode. We're going to talk about ultras. We're going to pick Katelyn's brain on how Alex can train for his very first ultra marathon, how he can select his first ultra marathon, why he should get into thinking about doing ultras. And we might be pulling in a special guest from Chamonix, France, to talk a little bit about why UTMB is what it is, why it is such a big deal, why it is so important in the ultra trail world, and what it's like to be there as well on UTMB week. All right. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. Goes out every day of the week. Our YouTube channel. If you've made it this far in the podcast, we have a video version on YouTube. If you listen to it, we also have a video version Spotify as well. You can put comments on YouTube and Spotify, and we will respond to them, and we'll gather them together for the Mailbag quarterly episodes. And feel free to share this with your running friends, trying to reach more runners like yourself, and give us a review on Apple Podcasts as well, because that helps out a lot, and Spotify. All right, gang.
All right.
Next week, we're going to go real long. Looking forward to it.
See you next week.
Before then, single leg glute bridges, folks.
It will solve all of your marital woes.
Yes. All of your life problems.